Life after graduation is a rude awakening. It's like from kindergarten until when you graduate, there's always a next step. Like there's always someone telling you this is what you do next. And you just kind of like go until you get to the end. And then when you graduate, everyone sort of like steps back and is like, okay, well, you should know what you want to do now. And it can be very overwhelming. So I'm making this life after graduation video as part of my series on being a millennial and why being a millennial sucks. I'm 2 years out of graduation. I graduated in 2018 and my life has done a complete 180 from the first job that I was in post-graduation to the job that I'm in now. So in this video, I'm gonna get into like financial decisions that you have to make after graduation, finding that first job, networking to find jobs, the difference between working in a precarious situation to like a regular standard situation. And I'm also going to talk about EI because I was on EI for a bit. That was so yeah, this is gonna be very candid. This is Q&A, but Canadian. Welcome to my channel Q&A. If you're new here, I make social and political commentary videos. My name is Cheyenne and today's question is, what is life like after graduation? So the first financial decision I made after school was to buy a car. I lived at home while I went to university, so when I graduated, it wasn't a matter of do I keep renting or do I move back home, because I was already living at home. And I'd made the decision not to move out just because it's too expensive. So I came about the decision to buy a car instead of moving to Toronto because I figured I would rather drive to Toronto, pay for parking, and like live lavishly for like a night than live in Toronto with no car and be poor all the time. I also told myself like maybe if I get a car then I can apply to jobs in like Markham or Oakville, like places that aren't like super accessible through transit but I could drive to, so I have like more options in like the jobs that I apply for. I ended up getting a job that was 10 minutes from a GO station, so like I really didn't need the car for that. A couple of the things that I was thinking about when I was buying a car was, one, I didn't want car payments. So I had a line of credit for my student loans because OSAP denied me for 3 years. So I had paid down $8,000 on my line of credit. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna take the $8,000 out and buy a car. So I had this very strict budget. I also wanted a car that was good on gas because I didn't want to be the person that like couldn't go places because they didn't have gas money. Like I didn't want gas to be an expense in my life like that. Also, I live in Brampton, so I had to take in insurance into consideration. So I got my first car. It was a Mazda 3. I don't have it anymore because I got in an accident because I live in Brampton. But yeah, good on gas. Insurance was like manageable for Brampton. And my car was like a manageable expense. Like I wasn't working to drive my car. Like I could work and like have a life after all my car expenses. So my financial advice for life after graduation is don't sign yourself up for financial obligations that are gonna make you poor. Don't go and rent in place just because you don't wanna live at home, but where you're renting is like you can barely afford it. Don't buy a car that has like $500 monthly payments or the gas uses premium if you really can't afford that. Like don't make yourself financially strapped. I started my job hunting in January. So in my last semester of school, I was looking for jobs for graduation. I went to York University in Toronto. I got a degree in communication studies and a certificate in marketing. You can watch that video up here. One of the things that I did when I was job hunting was that I would look for the job that I wanted in like 10, 15 years and then sort of like backtrack to all of the like positions you would need before to get that job later. And then I would find like the entry-level job for that like career path and apply to those. But honestly, like school didn't really prepare me well for applying to jobs, only because I didn't understand how like organizations or businesses or ad agencies worked. And I was applying to jobs that I had no business applying to. The other thing about job hunting is that you'll be looking for entry-level jobs and then it'll ask you for 3 years experience. I'm just not sure what the entering point is. I just remember thinking to myself, like if entry level is 2-3 years experience, like what is the search term that I need to be searching for jobs with no experience? So naturally I looked up why are entry-level jobs looking for years of experience, and what I found was that a lot of times companies don't want to hire people and have to train them. So then they'll look for people that already have experience to fill like menial entry-level jobs because they don't want to put in the time to teach them how to do the job. The other thing that has actually been proven is that when the economy is doing poorly and there are a lot of people who have like been laid off or are out of work or looking for work, then job applications will get more specific and require higher levels of education just because they know that there are a lot of people looking for work and they want to make it harder to apply to positions, so they know they're only getting like top-notch talent. None of these scenarios work in the favor of millennials who are coming out of school with like just internship experience or not even that. And on top of that, none of that even really matters because you kind of need to know somebody to get a job anyways. I wish there was a filter on like Indeed where you can be like 0 experience, don't know anybody in the company, entry level for real. Just make everyone's life easier. The other thing that was super stressful was knowing that I'm gonna have to pay back my student loans soon. I really couldn't even be choosy with the jobs that I was trying to apply for or pick because trying to pay back student loans on minimum wage would be tough. So I needed something fast. So like I said, you need to know somebody in order to get a job these days. So the way I got my first job was through networking. So in my last year in university, I got accepted into this program called Ad Lounge. So basically they set up a dinner with a bunch of recent graduates in advertising, and then they sit them at a table with HR reps from advertising agencies. And the whole point is to learn more about these agencies, make connections with their HR reps, and try to land an internship. So if you're an advertising student in Ontario and you're interested in this program, I put a link to the website in my description. So I joined this program, I went to the dinner, I met a bunch of students who were like also going through the exact same experience from me. Just talking to them, I learned so much about how advertising agencies work and like what positions I would like to work in or which ones I would be better suited for and like have a better chance of getting if I were to apply for them. And then I followed every single like student, HR rep, anybody that was at that event. I followed them on LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever they told me to follow them, I followed them. A few weeks later, I was on Facebook and I saw this job posting for one of the companies that was at this dinner. And it was for a part-time administration assistant. And I was like, okay, what the hell? Like, I can't be picky or choosy with this, so let me just apply. So from this program, Ad Lounge, I had met the owner in one of our training sessions on how to be like more authentic in the workplace in order to land your advertising internship. So the owner of this company was posting this job and I was like, okay, whatever, let me apply. I got an interview. Probably because she remembered me from the event. So at the end of the interview, they gave me the job posting just to see like what exactly they were looking for, because on their Facebook, they didn't really state what the position was. So I looked at the job posting and I was like, I am literally not qualified for this position. And it's so embarrassing that I just sat here for an hour to like interview for it. Then 6 weeks later, I got a call from the lady that was interviewing me and she was like, hey, like, do you want to come in and do like a day of work and just to see like if you like the company, if you're a good fit for our culture, if you like the work. And I was like, yeah, sure. They paid me for the day, didn't go in for free, and I got the job. So one takeaway from that is that even if you're not like meeting every single requirement that they state on the job posting, still apply, because some companies hire for culture, and if they have a bunch of applicants that don't fit their work culture, they won't hire them. And if you are the one that does fit their work culture, then they'll hire you and like make accommodations for the fact that you're missing a bunch of stuff that they stated was super important. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened with me. So like I said, it was a part-time job. So I quit H&M and I was still working at Costco, and I was basically working like 7 days a week. So Monday to Wednesday at this place and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Costco. 3 weeks on this job. The boss sat me down, the one that I knew from the Ad Lounge event. She sat me down, she was like, everybody at the office loves you, but I kind of want to use your skills from your internship, your social media skills, and like use those skills as well in your job, but I can't take you away from the work that you're already doing, so I want to offer you a full-time position. I remember sitting there thinking like, oh my gosh, I finally have the full-time job with benefits that everyone keeps talking about. Like, I was so excited. So it was a 1-year contract. I was basically their marketing coordinator, and I did all of the admin stuff that I was doing from the part-time position, plus social media work for the company and this new business venture that they were starting. And it's important to note that I wouldn't have gotten this full-time offer had I not had additional skills outside of their requirements for the other position that they had hired me for. So again, even if you don't think that you meet all the requirements, but you have other skills that you think could be valuable to the company, I would still apply for jobs because you never know what they're looking for exactly. And don't be afraid to apply to small businesses. The company that I work for literally had 5 full-time employees. That's it. But when you work for a small company, everybody wears multiple hats. Like, you're not just doing one specific job description, you're learning a lot more, and like that only helps you build your resume. So that was one of the takeaways that I got from like working at a small business. It was actually very valuable. So like I said, it was a 1-year contract. It did not get renewed. Yikes. I remember the day I went in and found out that my contract was not going to be renewed. It was legit the day after the Raptors had just won the championship. So like, I was literally in the streets of Toronto until like 3 o'clock in the morning, just screaming at the top of my lungs out of excitement, and then had to go to work the next day running on like 2 hours of sleep, only to hear that I was out of a job. I just remember sitting there thinking like, this is not going to get me down. The Raptors are world champions. This is just not this is not happening right now. So that was like my first taste in this whole like gig economy, precarious work situation that a bunch of us are going through right now. Like so many companies use contract work because it allows them to be super flexible with their business. So in 2018 when I got hired, they wanted my social media skills, but in 2019 they took a different direction in their business and they no longer needed those skills. So my contract was up, they chose not to renew it. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, like, not for me, but so yeah, my contract was up and they chose not to renew it because they, you know, had no obligation to. But I was really lucky because I didn't just get like kicked to the curb. Like she gave me a 6-week extension to sort of like find my footing and get another job. So immediately, the first thing I did was stop spending money. And I knew that I only had 3 more paychecks coming, so I needed to make sure that I had all my expenses covered for who knows how long until I find another job. That's one of the things with this whole gig economy, precarious work, like not knowing when your next job is or when your next paycheck is. It really messes with your ability to plan financially for your future. Like if I was renting downtown, I would have to move back home immediately. If I had car payments, like would I be able to keep that car if I didn't have a job for an extended period of time? Like not knowing when you're gonna get that next job because you need experience to get entry-level jobs. Like I only had 1 year of work at the time, so I was super stressed. The first thing I did was change my LinkedIn status to like looking for opportunities, and then I posted my resume on Indeed. So I ended up getting recruited by a hiring agency. I was a little hesitant at first to work with them because I was like, I don't even know who you are, you just contacted me, like how do I know this is real? But they ended up getting me a job, so like if someone contacts you from a recruiting agency, take it seriously. Okay, collecting EI. So this is really hard for me because I'm a very proud person, but I was on EI for like, I want to say 6 weeks, but I wasn't like stressed about it only because I had finished my first job like the end of July, but then the first day after the August long weekend, I was given a job offer. So technically I was unemployed. Like I was not working, I was not getting a paycheck from anybody, but like I wasn't job searching because I had already got a job. So the reason I didn't start immediately was because I had already planned a vacation to Italy in the 3rd week of August. So my plan was basically to finish my first job in July, like at the end of July, have the first 2 weeks of August off, go to my vacation on the 3rd week of August, and then start my new job on the 4th week of August. That didn't happen. So my new company, they had to do a background check on me before I could start. The background check took 6 weeks. I don't know how long it would take to do a background check on somebody that was 30, 40 years old. If I'm only 24 and it takes you 6 weeks, whatever. So I got back from my vacation in Italy and I still couldn't work because I was not cleared. So that was stressful. So if it was just that I had those 3 weeks where I wasn't working and then I knew I was gonna start working again the 4th week of August, my expenses would have been fine. Like I could have just put everything on my credit card until I got my next paycheck and then paid off my credit card. But I was literally at home for 3 weeks doing nothing, just waiting for the background check to be done. And I remember sitting in my bed thinking like, oh my gosh, like I spent money in Italy expecting to be working this week and now I'm not working. Like how am I gonna pay for this stuff now? So my mom came into my room, she was like, why don't you just collect EI? And I was like, collect EI? Like I'm 24 years old. That's so embarrassing to be on EI so young. But then my mom was like, well, you've been paying into EI this whole year, so why not just collect it? And I was like, let me go get my money. Oh, and this is the other thing that they don't tell you after graduation. If you don't get a good paying job, like if you get like contract work or like, I don't know, making like just above minimum wage, like you have to pay for your student loans. Maybe you moved out, you got to pay for that. Maybe you have a car, you have to pay for that. Like you have very little money left over after all of that to have like a saving account for emergencies. Like I was not saving for emergencies because I was trying to pay off my student loans. And then when my contract ended, I had nothing to fall back on because I was trying to pay off my student loans. Like it's literally a catch-22. If I don't pay my student loans, it hurts my credit and I have to pay more interest, or I just don't have a savings account, and then I have to put everything on my credit card, and then I can't pay it off because I don't have a job, and then I get interest payment on that. So either way, you're screwed. Anyway, so I applied for EI. I just want to say that EI is trash. It's trash. When I was reading the application, it said you get 55% of your regular income. And I was like, okay, that should be over $1,000. I got $800. And I was unemployed for 6 weeks. So how they do it is the first week that you're unemployed is like a deductible, so the government doesn't pay you anything for that. And every 2 weeks you have to go into their system and answer questions about what you're doing to find a job. So they'll ask you if you did like a side job and got paid in cash, or if you've done training in order to get a job to become like more employable, then you have to state that. If you left the country, then they won't pay you for that. So the fact that I went to Italy, like I wasn't given EI for the week that I was in Italy because I technically was not able to work in Canada anyways. So when I finally got my EI payment, I just used it to pay off my credit card. But it also made me think about like older people on EI. Like if I had a mortgage and a family and like car payments or something, I'm not sure how EI is enough to tie you over to find another job. Especially with the way that the job market is. Like if you don't find something quick, like being on EI is like, I guess it's something, but it's tough. I feel like I heard people talk about EI as like something that will make people want to stay at home and not work, but like you're not getting paid enough to stay at home. Especially if you're used to making a certain amount of money and then you have to go on EI, like that's not sustainable. Like that is an incentive to go back to work. So when I was given the job offer for the job that I have now, I was actually also in the middle of interviews for another job. So I had one interview for the job that the recruiter found for me, and then I had another interview for a job that I had found on my own, doing my own like job search. The recruiter found me a sales and marketing position in a healthcare company, which is like so nothing to do with what I went to school for, which is like media studies essentially. The job that I had found was for public relations, so much more in tune with what I went to school for. And also the work environment was really cool, and I actually felt like working there, I could like change public opinion to do better in the world, whereas like a healthcare company is just a healthcare company. So the week that I got the job offer from the healthcare company, I was in stage 2 of the interview process with the public relations company. And for their stage 2, they basically gave me a prompt and was like, how would you create a campaign to raise awareness for this political issue kind of thing, right? So I had to like do work for stage 2 of the interview. Nope. Whereas like the other one, I just had a job offer waiting for me. This seems like a no-brainer question, but for me, I really struggled with it because I was like, do I go into an industry that I don't want to be working in, that's not even interesting, that has nothing to do with my degree, just because it pays well and it has benefits and a pension? Or do I try to like take this internship, it wasn't even a full-time job, it was an internship, take this internship in a public relations company that's directly related to my degree and sort of like makes me feel like I'm doing something good for the world, with the hopes of it turning into full-time work. Like looking back, it seems like a stupid decision, but I don't know, I was struggling with this decision. And I told my mom about it and she was like, Cheyenne, when you're looking for another job, you want to look for something better, not less. So in other words, the healthcare job, you idiot. I think the reason why I was struggling between the two was because I've always been told to like go to school and study something that you enjoy, that you like, and then go find a job in something that you love so that it doesn't feel like work. So taking the public relations job kind of felt like I was doing that. Like I was using my degree and it was something that wouldn't feel like work to me. But then it's like, why would I choose a job that doesn't feel like work and keeps me poor? Like it's another precarious situation where I don't know what happens after the 3-month internship, where I could literally just be working at this company for full-time pension and benefits. So really my problem in this decision wasn't between like a good job with benefits and a precarious job. It was between a job that doesn't feel like work and a job that does feel like work. And this whole idea that your job should not feel like work, like you should love your job. And now I just don't even care about that because my job is my job. It's my 9 to 5. I come home and I do whatever I want. And now that I have like a job that like takes care of me and my benefits and my pension, like I'm financially stable, I can use that financial stability to do the things that I love. Whereas if I was working at a job that didn't feel like work, but was precarious and who even knows how much they were gonna pay me, like now it's like laborious to do the job that I love instead of enjoyment. That was my quarter life revelation. At the end of the day, a job is a job. You don't have to love what you do. As long as you can come home and be financially secure and have enjoyment in other aspects of your life, your job does not have to bring you enjoyment. And I stand by that 100%. So that is my 2-year life after graduation story. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe because this is a video that's part of a series on talking about why it sucks to be a millennial. I still have to go through the student debt crisis. I still have to go through home ownership. So make sure you stay tuned and click that bell for notifications. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.